ARPA-E is a relatively new 10-year-old funding agency within the Department of Energy. It's modeled after the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, DARPA. And its objective was to advance early stage, high risk R&D that could lead to transformative energy technologies. And I think one of the things important to remember what ARPA-E is and what it's not. It's a funding agency. It provides funds for universities, startup companies, national labs to do cutting edge research. A lot of people view ARPA-E as some kind of government venture firm investing in technology, investing in companies, and that's not its role at all. In fact, the things that ARPA-E funds, the research that ARPA-E funds, are way too early stage for any kind of investment. And if you ask venture people about it, they'd say we wouldn't touch that kind of thing. So it's this a question we ask ourselves all the time at RP is, what's the big transformative impact? When is that aha moment going to happen? And if you think about, kind of our sister agency, DARPA, the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, you think about the internet, you think about GPS, you think about these major, major innovations. Well, they didn't happen overnight. They took a long time to develop, and I think that's particularly true in energy because there's a lot of embedded capital. There's a known infrastructure. It's conservative. It's hard to displace the incumbent technologies. But there are a few projects that caught my fancy at ARPA-E that are really kind of out there that I wouldn't have expected the agency to actually fund or support. One of them is something that sounds kind of mundane, but it's really important: building energy audits. So the usual way you do a building energy audit is an engineer goes around with a device and writes things down on a clipboard. What these folks did was they developed interior inside building sensing tools and imagery where they can take a backpack and walk through a building in a couple of hours and do a whole building energy audit. They're a startup company in the Bay Area, and now they're doing energy audits for new and existing buildings. And that has a direct and decided impact because energy efficiency is always the easiest thing to tackle first. So in terms of barriers for the development of energy technologies, I lay awake some nights when I was at ARPA-E, and I still do, thinking about all the exciting technologies that were being developed by the project teams. And at this point, ARPA-E has funded over 800 different projects. And it's a great opportunity. There are a lot of passionate people motivated with exciting new technology, but there are gaps in terms of the funding and the development. And ARPA-E plays, I think, a pivotal role in going from science to very early stage prototype. But that prototype is something still in a laboratory being run by engineers. It might be put together with string and shoe polish or tape or something. It's a little better than that, but it's a long way from something someone would want to invest in. And I think that gap is something that worried me a lot. Now, there are more patient investors out there, things like Breakthrough Energy Ventures. But again, they're still looking further down the line. And so what I see as the biggest gap is going from these really innovative concepts to something that at least gets to a prototype, a fieldable prototype demonstration kind of project. And that's a gap that I think we have to fill. One of the things that I see happening in the energy industry going forward in a short amount of time is that I think we're at a virtual tipping point when it comes to renewable energy and renewable energy plus storage. Right now, you're seeing power purchase agreements where renewable plus storage is competitive not only with coal or certainly nuclear, but natural gas. And that means a real tipping point in the ability of renewables to penetrate the electrical grid system. And I think the key enabler to that, and something that ARPA certainly utilized a lot of R&D funding for, is long-duration energy storage. By long duration, I mean more than 4 hours that lithium-ion can provide, something like 10 to 100 hours. And ARPA certainly had a number of research projects in redox flow batteries, even thermal energy storage for longer duration storage. So I think as we see storage coming online and new technologies for storage, we're really going to go over that tipping point where renewables plus storage gives you dispatchable, meaning you can have it anytime you want it, renewable energy on the grid. In my opening remarks to the annual ARPA Energy Innovation Summit in 2017, I talked a lot about building this community of scientists and engineers and entrepreneurs who are ready, willing, and able to launch the next generation of energy technologies. And ARPAE has been part of that, but a lot of other things have been a part of that. And it builds off the U.S.'s strengths in universities, research universities, laboratories, nonprofits, and particularly in the entrepreneurial spirit, the ability to spin out companies, to do startups. And that community is ready, willing, and able. And I think if we just get the right amount of funding in the right places, it's going to go gangbusters. So I'm really optimistic about that community. They're out there. They're ready to do the work.